On today's episode of Locked On Wild, we look at trade proposals for Vincent Trocheck, Jack Hughes, and why the Senators might offer some intriguing center options as they continue to freefall in the standings.
Hey, this is Matt Boldy, and you're listening to Locked On Wild.
Hey, this is Marcus Foligno, and you're listening to Locked On Wild.
You're Locked On Wild, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Wild. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I'm Seth Toupal. Welcome to Locked On Wild, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Locked On Wild is your daily Minnesota Wild podcast. We are your team each and every day, and we thank you for making Locked On Wild your first listen each and every day as well. Make sure you like and subscribe on all of your favorite audio platforms so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. On today's episode of Locked On Wild, we are taking a look at a couple of trade possibilities for the Minnesota Wild. We'll look at a proposed trade for Vincent Trocheck of the New York Rangers and what Trocheck could bring to the Wild if they looked to try to acquire him. We'll also take a look at a bigger swing with a proposed deal for Jack Hughes and what Jack Hughes could offer the Wild while also offering some caveats to a trade for Quinn Hughes' brother. And we'll take a look at the Ottawa Senators, who are starting to really fall out of the standings. They got absolutely annihilated by the Colorado Avalanche today. Could they offer some potential center options for the Minnesota Wild via trade? My name is Seth Toupal, host of Locked On Wild, credentialed media member, giving you inside access beyond the box score for the Minnesota Wild. And I've been host of the show since 2021. We're recording this as the Minnesota Wilds are playing the Seattle Kraken so that we can have this ready to rock once the postcast is done. So a little combo platter, double trouble for you with the Minnesota Wild currently leading Seattle by a score of 2-0. I wanted to talk about a couple of trades because, you know, we've had some proposed trade scenarios that have fleshed themselves out within the last 24 hours that I wanted to just take a look at because it gives us an opportunity to look at a couple of players that the Wild have not officially been linked to, but you can kind of connect the dots. On the Vincent Trocheck side, the New York Rangers just cannot get any traction this season. They just continue to kind of get in their own way. And so I wanted to start with Trocheck because we really haven't talked about him yet this year. And in the Wild's quest to add a top 6 player, Trocheck, I think, could be an intriguing option for the Minnesota Wild to look at. Now, before we even get to the trade proposal, let's just look at what Trocheck has done so far this season. All told, he has played in 30 games this season, has 25 points, including 10 goals. He has a couple of points on the power play. He's got 6 power play points, including a goal. He's shooting 19.6%. He has taken 51 shots, official shots on goal, in 30 games. So he's not shooting a ton, but the 19.6 shooting percentage is a career high. He's playing roughly 21 minutes per night on the ice. But here are the numbers to keep in mind. He's winning faceoffs at a 54.8% clip in over 600 faceoff attempts. And he's not afraid to throw his body weight around. He's got 100 hits through the first 30 games of the season. Now, yes, he has missed some games this year, but that is actually the first time that he has done that since the 2020-2021 season. Trocheck, that is, from 2021 to 2025, missed one game. And that was back in the 2021-2022 season. He has played 82 games each of the past 3 seasons, recording 22, 25, and 26 goals. 64, 77, and 59 points on a Rangers team whose numbers have certainly fluctuated as far as how good they have been over the last few seasons. He has been a top 20 finalist for the Selke Trophy the last couple of seasons. So he brings at least a reputation of defense. We'll look at the actual defensive numbers here in a second. But here's what he did in the faceoff circle the last couple of seasons. He was at 59.3% in the faceoff circle last year in over 1,500 faceoff attempts. The year before that, he was at 58.7 in 1,500 attempts. The year before that, he was at 56.1 in 1,300 attempts. So he is taking a ton of faceoffs and winning them at a 56 or better percent clip. Now, if we dive in a little further, his faceoff percentage in 5-on-5 play, 55.5. His faceoff percentage on the power play, 67.6. He's been at 60+% on the power play each of the last 5 seasons. On the penalty kill, this year, 37.5%, but every season up to 2020, 2021, 52% or better. Now, the amount of usage varies year to year, but last year, on the penalty kill, he was at 57.5% in 200 attempts. So it doesn't matter the situation. He wins. 5-on-5, close games, 57% this year. 5-on-5 tied, 51% this year. It was at 64.5 last year. So this kind of coincides with what I was talking about with Alex and on Denny's last show on Monday night. I would rather get somebody that gives you definite face-off help, but can contribute from a goals perspective. And Trocheck can do that. Now, defensively, his numbers this year, the numbers are not super good, but consider the team. The Rangers are a mess. He's right around 2.9 goals against per 60, which is slightly higher than where it has been the last few years of his career. And as far as point shares go, he's at 1.7 offensive point shares this year. And he's at 0.7 defensive point shares. He had 5.4 all of last year. So on pace to be at about 5 for the season. Since we are just over the halfway mark. His 82 game seasonal averages are 25 goals, 65 points. He's played a full 82 games 5 times, played 81 games in a season once, and has finished in the 70s as well, one other time. So relatively healthy, top 20 finalist as far as the Selke goes. So I like that. So he brings a little defense to the table too. Here's the trade package. Actually, first let's look at the contract particulars for Trocheck. So for Vincent Trocheck, his cap hit is modest. He comes in with a 5.625 cap hit, $1 million that is. for the 2026-2027 season, 2027-2028, and 2028-2029. 5.625. That's not bad. That's very doable. And with what the Wild have for deadline space, maybe you have them retain a little piece of it, get it down to like 4. Very doable. Here's the trade package. This was proposed by Just In Sports. The New York Rangers receive Riley Heidt, Ryder Ritchie, a 2027 first-round pick, a 2026 third-round pick, and a 2026 fourth-round pick. The Wild get Trocheck and a 2026 sixth-round pick. This, just right off the hop, you're giving up too much. You're giving up too much for Vincent Trocheck. So I think you could do the deal for less than that. Trocheck is obviously a great player. And so you probably are looking at a first-round pick and a prospect. I don't need to get involved with the we don't need to have the multi-pick swaps happen. So it just eliminate that from this whole equation. But I think Trocheck would be worth looking into. Now, here's the problem with this. Here's the caveat. The New York Rangers, there are rumblings that they are looking to buy. Why? I have no idea. Because friend of the show, Johnny Lazarus, who covers the New York Rangers, I have seen him on about a dozen occasions this year make note of the fact that the Rangers just can't get out of their own way. And at some point, especially after you have crossed the halfway threshold, at some point, you are what you are. And feels like the Rangers are sunk at this point. So I think this would definitely be worth pursuing. I think you could do it for less than what that trade proposal suggested. And I think you could do it, more importantly, without involving any of the centers. I will say, again, we're recording this during the Kraken game. Joel Eriksson Ek left the game in the second period, has not returned. So at this point, anyone else that is a center that has factored in, a.k.a. Danila Yurov, off the table. You cannot afford to dip any further into the prospects, into the center pool. You cannot afford to dip any further into the center pool in any acquisition in which you make this year. So Danila Yurov has moved into off-limits territory. We'll talk more about that when we take a look at the Jack Hughes situation. There was a trade proposal for that as well, but just let me know in the comments if you'd be in favor of Vincent Trocheck. He's 5'11", but he is not afraid to throw his body weight around. So he's a little on the, at least in stature. Build-wise, he's just fine, but, 5'11", 5'11's 5'11". I'm 5'10". Not that anybody cares, but he's not afraid to throw his body weight around. So that's kind of appealing as well. Let me know in the comments if you think that is something that the Wild should consider as the season unfolds. When we come back, we're going to take a look at a much bigger swing that the Minnesota Wild could look to make. We'll talk about the potential of uniting two of the Hughes brothers in Minnesota. Yes, we're going Jack Hughes hunting. We'll talk about that as we continue today's episode of Locked On Wild after this. Today's episode of Locked On Wild is brought to you by Rocket Money. Let's be real. Managing your finances can feel overwhelming. Between subscriptions you forgot about, bills that keep going up, and trying to figure out where all your money actually goes each month, it's easy to feel like you're losing control. And who has time to track every transaction or hunt down those hidden fees? That's where Rocket Money comes in. the personal finance app that helps you take control. It finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. The unwanted subscriptions is just the absolute worst. Multiple instances in which I've had subscriptions I didn't even know I was paying for, and Rocket Money just takes care of it like that, just with the snap of a finger. And just like that, money that I didn't even know I was spending is going right back into my pocket. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon, rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Welcome back to today's edition of Locked On Wild. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On Wild your first listen each and every day. Make sure, again, to like and subscribe on all of your favorite podcast platforms. And we would love as well if you would take a look at the Locked On Wild All Access tier, as well as the Everydayer Club. We are elevating Locked On Wild's game by offering you more chances to interact, more content, and amazing new features. You can find more information in the show notes, so take a look. And whether you feel like Everydayer is the best option for you, or you want to go all access, both offer great features that get you more involved in the show, get you a chance to interact with me as well. Again, link in the show notes will give you more information on all access and the Everydayer Club. So we talked about Vincent Trocheck. Let's now turn our sights towards a bigger fish, Jack Hughes. And again, before we even get to the proposal, here's what Jack Hughes brings to the table. So Jack Hughes also is 5'11". He is listed as a center, but he also plays wing quite often. Hughes on the season has 11 goals, 13 points, 13 assists, 24 points in 25 games this year. For Jack Hughes, he has had 26 or more goals each season since 2021-2022. That season, he played 49 games, had 26 goals. The next year, he had 43 goals, 99 points. Then he had 27 goals in 62 games and 74 points, 27 goals in 62 games in 2024-2025 and 70 points. And this year, he's got 11 goals in 25 games. His 82-game average is 32 goals, 78 points in his career. But he's been more close to a 60-game-a-year player than he has been an 80-game-a-year player. He's shooting 11.8% this year. He shot 11.8% last year, right in line with his career average of 11.2%. So don't have to worry about any sort of, huge regression back to earth. He's pretty much performing exactly at the level that he does throughout his career. Face-offs. He's taken 153 faceoffs this year. He's lost 101 of them. And he has not had a faceoff percentage above 37% in his career. So while he's listed as a center, it's pretty clear he is way more of a wing than he is a center. So that is an issue right off the bat. The point production is unquestioned from Jack Hughes throughout his career. But the amount of games missed. And look, I know this year was a freak accident. Slipping and having a glass break and cut your hand. That's a freak accident. That's not any sort of injury concern. That's just bad luck. But that does not explain what happened the last 2 years in which he missed 19 games each year, 20 games each year, missed 4 games the year before that, And it's been handfuls of games each year. Immensely talented, but there's something to be said about a guy who is in the training room for a portion of the season. This year, as far as point shares go, he's at 2.1 offensively in 25 games and 0.6 defensively. Last year was at 8.4 point shares, 6.1 offensively, 2.3 defensively. He would be near the top of the list in both categories for the Minnesota Wild. He obviously would add a tremendous amount of speed and skill. He went to the postseason one time in his career, and he had 6 goals in a 12-game run for the Devils, 11 total points. So this comes down, I think, to the inability to stay on the ice and the concerns for me, having now had a chance to kind of look over this, especially now with concerns about Joel Eriksson Ek leaving the game against the Seattle Kraken. I have concerns about what it would take to get him on the roster. As far as his cap hit goes, he is signed for over 8. Right at $8 million is his cap hit every season through 2030. He does not have any trade protection this year, then shifts to a 10-team no trade. 24 years old, tremendous offensive talent, and not bad defensively. Great amount of speed, but games played is games played. Here's the trade suggestion from Big Head Hockey on X. David Jiricek, Danila Yurov, Riley Heidt, and first-round picks in 2027 and 2028. The reasoning behind the trade, Devils get a head start on their rebuild. You can team Simone Nemec up with David Jiricek and go back to tanking like they were doing without Jack in the lineup. And on the flip side, the Wilds go all in with the Hughes brothers and arguably instantly become the best team in the West. If needed, they can take back the Markstrom contract. But if he's not really a center, that is the biggest need for this team. I mean, the talent is unquestioned. But what it comes down to is, are you willing to part with Danila Yurov in addition to what you did to get Quinn Hughes? Are you willing to part with Danila Yurov to bring in Jack Hughes? And then you just kind of roll with it at the center position. Your lineup would be Kirill Kaprizov, probably Jack Hughes, and Matt Zuccarello. So I feel like the Wild would play Hughes at center. And then you go Boldy, Eriksson Ek, and Johansson as your second line. Yurov off the table. So Hartman's your third line center, and then Sturm is your fourth line center. It's something to think about, certainly. It is a huge price, I think, to pay. But also, you are making this trade assuming that none of the players that you send to New Jersey pan out at the same level that Jack Hughes already has. So that's the give and take. The offensive talent that he brings to the table is unquestioned. But I feel like you are putting yourself in a worse position at center than you already are at. So let me know in the comments. Would you do that trade? Would you bring Jack Hughes in for that trade, or are we still looking more at Vincent Trocheck than we are at Jack Hughes? We'll finish the show tonight by talking about a team that might have something else to offer as far as the center position goes. The Ottawa Senators are reeling. They just got creamed by the Colorado Avalanche 8-2, and it's looking like their season is falling apart. What can they offer from the center position? We'll discuss. We'll look at some options as we continue today's episode of Locked On Wild right after this. Final segment of today's episode of Locked On Wild. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On Wild your first listen each and every day. Again, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. We've got you covered every Monday through Friday as part of the Locked On Podcast Network. The Ottawa Senators are in purgatory. They just got destroyed by the Colorado Avalanche by a score of 8-2. There were some rumors circulating about the reason that Linus Ullmark has left the team, to which the team sent out a strong statement to try to get that under control. And the team has been mostly lifeless throughout large portions of the season. So as we kind of navigate and sift through and try to figure out who are the possible targets that the Minnesota Wild could look to try to bolster the center position, I wanted to go through the Senators' options to try to see if there's something that makes sense for a fit there. So we're looking at the guys that have taken a bunch of faceoffs this year. And the guy that has won the most faceoffs for the Senators this year is Claude Giroux, who was at one point linked to the Minnesota Wild a couple years ago in trade considerations. He has 9 goals, 29 points in 42 games. He's winning faceoffs at a 64.7% clip. Now, he's not a top 6 player, but he is a faceoff specialist. And if he would be willing to move, he would be an intriguing option to throw into the mix to try to bolster down the middle. He's a +11 on a team that is littered with players in deep minus territory. He has 8 power play points, playing 17.5 minutes per night, and he's taken 400 plus faceoffs, which leads is, I believe, second on the Senators behind Dylan Cousins. So he's taken a good amount of faceoffs. He's winning a ton of them. And as far as contract goes, he is signed for $2 million this year. Now, he has a no movement clause. So ultimately, the decision rests with him. But the Senators aren't going anywhere. So maybe that would be an option for the Wild to consider. As far as the other centers on the roster go, you've got Shane Pinto, you've got Dylan Cousins. Tim Stützle is as off limits as they go. And I can't see a situation in which Brady Tkachuk is on the block. So as much as we would like to, and I know I have tried to will that into existence previously, doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Now, Dylan Cousins is interesting. He's got 12 goals in 42 games, 31 total points. He's winning faceoffs at a 54.2% clip. But with him, you're dealing with a $7.1 million cap hit every year until the 2030 season. And he's more of a middle six guy. So I don't know that really gives you what you're looking for. It probably gives you more of what you already have. Shane Pinto would be an intriguing candidate to take a peek at. He's got 12 goals in 32 games. He's winning faceoffs at a 51.6% clip. And he has taken 350-ish faceoffs. But same story with him. Is Pinto is signed for $7.5 million. Now he has no trade protection. This year he has a cap hit of 3.75. So very doable to get it on the books this year. But 7.5 would be on the books starting next year. Now the salary cap's going up. You've got players coming off the roster. I think Shane Pinto would be a sneaky 2C. But the question there becomes, is he somebody that the Senators would be looking to move? And so the Senators certainly have options you could look at that would fill a couple of different things on the roster. But, you know, this is the part of the season. This is the part of the season where you start to look at the teams that are flatlining as the ones to look for as far as trades go. Senators have lost 3 in a row. They are now they're at 45 points. They're 5 points out of a playoff spot, but they look bleak. Columbus, the New York Rangers have 46 points. The Devils have 46 points, but these are all teams that are trending in the wrong direction with multiple losses in a row and stretches of 4-6 or 3-7 in that span. That's what you got to look for as far as teams that are falling out of the playoff picture. I've had a couple of people suggest go get Jonathan Taves, who I was floored to learn is winning faceoffs at a 63% clip, which is impressive. Very nice. But he really doesn't give you anything offensively. And I don't know that I want to have a tried and true, like win the faceoff and get off the ice kind of a guy. I'd like to have somebody that can offer you a pulse offensively, can offer you something offensively that can give you that combo platter to add to the mix. So I'd have to say at this point, I take a long, hard look at Trocheck. If the Rangers kind of come to their senses and stop trying to buy, I would take a hard look at Vincent Trocheck as a potential option for this team. But otherwise, we're just going to have to kind of keep waiting it out, keep taking a peek, and I guess hope that while the Wilds continue to keep their pace towards the top of the standings, you got to just hope that other teams continue to fall out of it. That is going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Wild. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On Wild your first listen each and every day. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. Follow us on YouTube and all of your favorite audio platforms so you don't miss out on any new Minnesota Wild news and notes throughout the course of the week. We will have reaction to the Kraken game coming up for you tomorrow, as well as taking a look at a big game coming up on Saturday against the New York Islanders. So make sure to tune in. Until then, we will catch you on the next episode right here on Locked On Wild, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.